I think I'm gonna get back.
How's it everybody, and welcome back to our channel.
For this week's video, we'll be visiting a really unique family and we're so excited to take you guys along with us. Don't forget about our giveaway running on our Facebook and Instagram pages, so we'll link those down below.
If you've been enjoying our videos and would like to see more stories about the unique people we meet through our travels, please don't forget to subscribe. The car is packed and we are ready to go. We're going to take the 3.5-hour journey and we'll see you there. I think this is the place.
Meet the Lotterings, the family that lives in a game reserve. Barend, Mandy and their daughters Olivia and Grace. This family has spent the past 20 years living in a game reserve. Barend is at the forefront of the anti-poaching efforts in South Africa and has dedicated the past 20 years of his life to protecting wildlife. Mandy has always had a heart for the bush, so this lifestyle came naturally to her. Their daughters have had the unique opportunity of growing up in nature and spending their formative years surrounded by wildlife. This family leads an incredible life. Join us as we share their story. Good morning guys! So we arrived yesterday afternoon and spent the evening just getting to know this beautiful family a bit better. They told us so many interesting and funny stories that we'll share with you guys throughout the video.
But they've been kind enough to invite us onto a game drive. So let's go have some breakfast, get up and get going for the day. So this is something very interesting. This is created by rhinos and it's called a midden. This is actually their toilet. They're incredibly hygienic animals and they basically just go in one hole the whole time. The one downside to this though is that poachers know that once they see a midden, that they know rhinos have been in the area. Particularly with this one, you can see that because it is still fresh, there has been a rhino here recently.
So the elephant behind me here is actually a lone bull male. He is currently in musk, which you can see by the glands on either side of his head. They leak a liquid. It's got a very pungent smell. Generally when they are in musk, they're quite grumpy and can be a bit more aggressive. So you always have to keep a lookout when you come into contact with a male like this. So we've just had a beautiful game drive with some really amazing sightings, and we've just stopped off in a lovely little forest to have a cup of tea with Mandy and Barend, and we're really interested to ask Barend about what inspired him to get into anti-poaching.
From that I can remember, I always loved nature. We're always in the bush, always camping, fishing, loved protecting wild animals. It basically came when I saw opportunity in the market, as there was no more law enforcement looking after nature, and that's how we started the business. So it's an opportunity and a love that got together, yeah.
In 2002, Barend started his anti-poaching business along with a good friend of his. they built their business from the ground up, literally. After receiving their first contract, they spent 4 months working as field rangers and sleeping in the bush, as they did not have enough funding to employ additional rangers. With each contract they received, they were able to expand their workforce, and the business has been thriving ever since.
So the forest we're currently in is actually called a sand forest, and this is one of the few places in the world that it occurs. And if you take a closer look here, this is the smallest flowering orchid in the world. I think I'm gonna get back. We're currently hearing baboons fighting amongst themselves. The babies are being disciplined. We just got back from the most beautiful game drive with so many lovely sightings, and it's just such a blessing to be here. Mandy was just telling us a story earlier about how she was sitting on her bed the one day, and the next thing she looked out her window and there was a leopard strolling past her garden. So it's just so incredible to see how this family is so immersed in nature and just immersed in wildlife, and it's just beautiful.
So we have a little something special planned later for once it gets dark. But for now, we're going to enjoy a really beautiful sunset. We'll see you again later.
So we are currently on a night patrol drive looking for poachers or any signs of poaching. Tonight is a full moon, so that means that the night patrols ramp up a bit. It's a really prime time for poachers because the reserve is lit up from the moonlight, so obviously they need to make more of an effort to patrol on these nights. Sibusisu, how do you feel when you go on these patrols? Do you feel afraid?
I'm trying to work as a game ranger, so I'm not afraid. Actually, I want to protect the endangered species. I like to work to protect rhino, to reduce the poaching. So I always ensure that the rhino are safe. I take rhino as my family member. So that's make me keep working. Yeah.
And how do you feel when you catch a poacher?
The poacher. I hate the poacher. So I always make sure that I work hard to catch them. So I feel like a relief when I catch the poachers. Actually, I don't want to see a poacher. For me, I don't like person who kill any animals, but poaching any animals. I make sure that I work hard to reduce the poaching in my game reserve.
Good morning, guys. As you can see, we went on a night patrol with the rangers last night. Just apologies for the quality of the footage. We only had a GoPro and our phone, so we tried our best.
So it was a really incredible experience to go on this patrol with the rangers and to see exactly how they patrol the game reserve. And at one point in the night we were actually on foot for about an hour walking through the game reserve, and it's dark, you're not allowed to use torches because obviously the minute you turn a torch on you're giving away your location. And we even had a bit of a scare with a wildebeest on the road ahead of us. We thought it could have been a poacher, so we all jumped into the bushes in preparation for a confrontation.
So the rangers were carrying rifles, and this just really puts things into perspective as to how dangerous this job can be. Things can kick off very easily and people can lose lives. So we're really just so grateful for all the hard work and dedication that Barend and his team are putting into just protecting the wildlife.
But it's Sunday today, so we'll be enjoying a lovely relaxing day around the house, and of course we've got all this beautiful nature right on the doorstep, so we'll just be taking all of that in.
And we must remember not to stray too far, because we are still in a game reserve and there are lions about.
In this week's video, we are trying something a little bit different when it comes to interviews, because when we do an interview, this is usually what people see. And that can be pretty intimidating for someone that's not used to talking to a camera. We know from experience that it can be really intimidating, and we ourselves are still getting used to speaking to a camera. It can feel really strange when you're doing it. So this is the new way we are trying our interviews. So we'll be using this opportunity to sit down with Mandy and Barend and chat to them a little bit more about what it's really like to live inside a game reserve.
I think that the beauty and the blessing of living here far outweighs any inconvenience, and our inconveniences here are so different. I think probably my biggest inconvenience would be water. Because we get water from a borehole, which is quite far away, we have to pipe it up to the house, and every now and again elephants will destroy the pipes and we have to fix them. Hyenas will come in and chew all the pipes and we have to fix them again. And when you initially pump water from the borehole, it's quite dirty. It's got quite a bit of sediment in it. It's very brackish and it's very salty, so it damages a lot of the appliances in the house. It damages the geyser. We're replacing geysers every couple of months. It damages the toilets. It damages the taps. We've had to replace taps every year. And then, of course, the biggest thing is that I have to buy drinking water. So every week I have to make sure that I've got enough drinking water to cook with and to drink. It's not something that you'd worry about in the city. You worry about hijacking. Here we worry about hyena damage and water.
If you had to tell us one of the closest encounters that you had with animals whilst living here.
There's quite a few, actually. Elephants touching my screen doors, snakes landing on my pillow in the middle of the night, and scorpions under the bed. We came home one evening, and Barend usually does a little squiz around, and he said, "Girls, don't panic, but there are lions in the yard." But we literally couldn't go very far for 2 days because the lions camped out here where we are sitting, actually.
Wow.
In the yard.
So we wanted to give you guys a bit of a walkabout around the property to show you just what happens when animals come into contact with our house. So as you can see here, this is a fence pole, but it's missing its fence. The fence is actually down here. This is what happens whenever elephants come walking through the property. So this is an ongoing process for the family. They put up a fence, an elephant comes and tramples it down. But let's go and show you some of the other hotspots that animals really like around the house. So one of the funniest stories that they told us is that one day the girls were home alone, and standing right here at the entrance to the house was an elephant busy wiping his trunk all over the door, busy checking himself out in the reflection, trying to find the other elephant on the other side of the door. So this is a favorite spot for the hyenas. Let me show you why. The reason why this hose looks so new is because this was recently replaced. This is where the hyenas were actually chewing on the hose, and this is what happens all around the house on all the different water pipes. They just go crazy for these hose pipes. So this is another hot spot for, well, yet again, those silly hyenas. This is the outdoor laundry. Basically, here's the washing machine, and here's the outside bush. The hyenas also feel that they need piping for their laundries, so quite frequently they will come and visit the laundry. Any pipes that are left exposed, they will come and chew. Any washing powder, any washing liquid, they'll also get stuck into. Let's go have a look at another place. So this preventative measure is not for those pesky hyenas, but rather for the baboons and the inyala. Before this mesh was put up, any flowers that were left out here, any flowers that Mandy was trying to grow, would be eaten by the inyala. And those baboons would leave some parcels on the table. So if you follow me around this way. Wait, I realize we haven't even shown you where we're staying yet.
Welcome to the shed. The Lotterings house started out as a shed housing farming equipment. Mandy and Barend craved the peace and quiet of nature and were on the lookout for a secluded house to settle down in. They saw the potential in this shed and reconstructed it into the lovely family home you see today. Their home is fitted with all modern luxuries including electricity, plumbing and Wi-Fi, while still retaining a feeling of the African bush. So our time with the Lottering family is coming to an end and it's almost time to go home. But we've really enjoyed our stay here. It's been so incredible to see the unique way that they live and just the incredible opportunities they have daily to see wildlife.
So we really feel that the best way to get an insight into how a family truly lives is through their children. And this is apparent with Olivia and Grace. They live two completely polar opposite lifestyles. In the one sense, you have 13-year-old Grace and 16-year-old Olivia who can already drive, and not just drive, but can drive off-road in a four-wheel drive vehicle. They have hands-on, close-up experience with the Big Five. And on the other end of the spectrum, they still have to get ready for school on a Sunday night. They still go and hang out with their friends and go out in the evenings.
So we just want to say a huge thank you to the Lottering family for having us come and stay with you. It was incredible to see the unique way that your family lives.
But there's no better way to end off a trip in the bush than to go on a sunset game drive. Please don't forget to like, comment and subscribe, and we'll see you guys back again next week Friday. The hyenas, the hyenas also feel that they, no, I didn't like that. 3, 1. The hyenas also feel that they need, this is the laundry, and the honey, So this preventative measure is not for those pesky, I struggle with hyenas, eh?